Hello, hello. I am back, and we are in chapter 5, the basic methods of teaching and learning. And here are the multiple choice questions. They are number 1, the art of imparting knowledge or instruction by precept, example, or experience is the realm of the blank. A, lawyer. B, teacher. C, nurse. D, nutritionist. Number 2, to increase learners' understanding of materials presented, they must A, take action on the material. B, see the material. C, hear the material. D, listen to music while the material is being presented. Number 3, the essential steps in learning are A, desire, information, assimilation, and repetition. B, desire, information, intelligence, and repetition. C, desire, information, assimilation, and interest. D, desire, affirmation, assimilation, and repetition. Number 4, the manner in which the educator uses the materials and resources available to them to produce or achieve the desired objective and facilitate learning for all learners is termed A, presentation. B, a teaching method. C, a learning objective. D, a teaching standard. Number 5, in order for the learner to receive the information, the teaching methods must be A, appropriate for the lesson. B, appropriate for the type and age of the learner. C, varied within the class. D, all the above. Number 6, a discourse or formal presentation conveying information, explaining facts, or describing procedures is called A, demonstration. B, lecture. C, illustrated talk. D, none of the above. 7, when delivering a lesson in a lecture mode, A, be brief. B, keep it lengthy. C, the duration is of no consequence. D, all the above. Number 8, when giving an interactive lecture, the master educator will A, use examples for clarification. B, analyze the learners. C, teach with poise. D, all the above. Number 9, the demonstration method is used to A, break the autonomy of the classroom. B, show off the educator's skills. C, illustrate correct posture. D, none of the above. 10, identify the objectives of the lesson, motivating the students, gathering materials and tools ahead of time, and ensuring that students have unobstructed views is a part of the lesson. A, preparation. B, opening. C, questioning. D, closure. 11, during the demonstration, a master educator will perform the procedure A, with full speed ahead to show students how to be done in the salon. B, extremely slow. C, at the appropriate speed to ensure that students do not miss key steps. D, along with a video presentation. Master educators will react to nonverbal clues of disinterest by A, stopping the lesson or calling attention to the students' inappropriateness. B, stopping the lesson and assigning workbook activity. C, varying the stimulant by changing the activity. D, starting a different lesson. Passing objectives during a demonstration will A, enhance learning. B, allow students to see the object up close. C, allow students to feel the object. D, detract the learners from important steps in the demonstration. One second. Also, 14, provide an opportunity for learners to practice skills demonstrated soon after its presentation term. A, clinic. B, application. C, practice. D, both. B and C. 15, to ensure that a learner's practice makes procedures permanent, the master educator will A, give assistance. B, closely supervise student practice. C, give immediate feedback. D, all of the above. 16, group discussions and discoveries is extremely adventurous because it A, lacks immediate feedback. B, encourage social interaction. C, requires a high degree of learner participation. D, both B and C. 17, to ensure the best results in a group discussion and discovery, A, requires that opinions and statements brought forth by the learners be supported by facts. B, allow the difference of opinions amongst learners. C, avoid interrupting learners and groups when at work. And D, all of the above. 18, role play is an effective way for learners to observe A, other students at play. B, a comedy in the classroom. C, how various conflict situations should be handled. D, the educator dealing with conflict. 19, during role play, those observing should be A, working in a workbook. B, analyzing an enactment and note taking for discussion. C, studying the up and coming test. D, watching the role play on. 20, when using role play as a teaching method, A, use learners' personal problems. B, it is not necessary to plan ahead. C, is not necessary to have students volunteer. D, it is select situations that will not embarrass any of the learners. 21, the learner should leave role play experience feeling A, that there is only one way to solve this conflict. B, that there is likely more than one solution to any conflict. C, discouraged about handling conflict. D, that role playing was a waste of time. 22, the technique of hand sketching visual images into the square of A, matrix is called A, mind mapping. B, sequencing blocks. C, window painting. D, brick pattern. 23, because research states that the memory can retain only bits of information, window panning contains A, 6 panes. B, 7 panes. C, 8 panes. D, 9 panes. 24, the master educator sees field trips as being important to the learners. A, self-discovery. B, active learning. C, career path. D, all of the above. 25. After the scheduled field trip and an organized review of students' observation, the master educator will A, tie those observations to the stated objectives identified for the field trip. B, listen attentively. C, take notes for distribution at a later time. D, commend students for being observant and cooperative. 26, having a preliminary meeting with a guest speaker is recommended so that A, you can meet and greet the speaker. B, you can write what you want the speaker to say. C, you can lay the ground rules for the presentation. D, none of the above. 27, while the guest speaker is presenting to the learners, it is a perfect opportunity for the master educator to A, catch up on paperwork. B, take a short break. C, work on the supply room. D, none of the above. 28, it may be necessary for the master educator to assist the guest speaker in A, getting learners involved. B, taking control of the class. C, presentation tips. D, all the above. 29, mind mapping is a significant method of learning for the A, musical learner. B, verbal learner. C, visual learner. D, linguistic learner. 30, mind mapping will take place of A, workbooks. B, handouts. C, outline the chapters. D, crossword puzzles. 31, mind mapping. A, is difficult to learn. B, is complicated to learn and take hours of time. C, needs to input more than one student. Need the input of more than one student. D, is easy to learn and may be organized in a matter of minutes. 32, by depicting images or pictures throughout the mind map, it A, creates a cartoon for the learner. B, aids in the recall. C, stimulates both sides of the brain. D, B, and C. 33, individualized feedback can be received on a regular basis by using A, testing. B, peer coaching. C, student interaction. D, computer software. 34, projects have their place in the educational arena. They can be very effective in A, filling the time. B, making students look busy. C, the use of arts and crafts. D, developing problem-solving skills. 35, to be effective, workbook assignments should A, be completely filled in. B, follow with lessons or test materials being covered. C, not be used for all learning types. D, none of the above. 36, case studies should be directly related to A, conflict in class. B, the female gender. C, the male gender. D, objectives of the lesson. 37, when developing questions in case studies, the most difficult questions should be placed A, first. B, second. C, in the middle. D, last. 38, there are two types of case studies. One presents only the problem and the other, A, presents the problem with one possible solution to the problem. B, presents the problem with two possible solutions to the problem. C, presents the problem with three possible solutions to the problem. D, presents the problem with four possible solutions to the problem. 39, provide a link between the students and the information being taught is a method termed A, bridging. B, linking. C, dovetailing. D, concept connectors. 40, providing links with the learner's past experience. The objective of the lesson being taught is called A, bridging the gap. B, concept connectors. C, linking, D, chain linking. 41, the process whereby the mind forms a mental image of one performing the objectives of the lesson is termed A, imagination, B, dreaming, C, visualization, D, mind wandering. 42, students learn best when educators enhance the lesson with meaningful A, periodical personal anecdotes, B, lectures, C, notes, D, handouts. 43, songs, words, or phrases associated that will trigger the recall of key informations are called A, acronyms, B, mnemonics, C, alphabetism, D, synonyms. 44, when there is a sag during the class, heavy content material, the master educator will use A, energizers, B, workbook activities, C, fill in the blank worksheets, D, none of the above. 45, energizers are brief activities that take A, 1 to 3 minutes, B, 3 to 5 minutes, C, 5 to 7 minutes, D, 7 to 9 minutes. Go ahead. 46, experimentation is a great way to reach A, intuitive learner, B, shy learners, C, introverted learners, D, all of the above. 47, master educators should incorporate humor into the presentation. A, constantly, B, to make a point, C, only when planned, D, both A and C. 48, humor used in the classroom must A, be sarcastic and bold, B, have nothing to do with the presentation, C, be relevant and fit naturally and logically into the presentation, D, have a punchline that incorporates politics. 49, to maximize participation of all group members, the master educator will limit groups to A, 5 members, B, 6 members, C, 7 members, D, 8 members. 50, the master educator will only take over the group discussion when A, there is a question, B, the material seems confusing, C, students are at a roadblock, D, none of the above. Now that you've reached the end, 1 is B, 2 is A, 3 is A, 4 is B, 5 is D, 6 is B, 7 is A, 8 is D, 9 is C, 10 is A, 11 is C, 12 is C, 13 is D, 14 is D, 15 is D, 16 is D, 17 is D, 18 is C, 19 is B, 20 is D, 21 is B, 22 is C, 23 is D, 24 is D, 25 is A, 26 is C, 27 is D, 28 is D, 29 is C, 30 is C, 31 is D, 32 is D, 33 is B, 34 is D, 35 is B, 36 is D, 37 is C, 38 is A, 39 is D, 40 is B, 41 is C, 42 is A, 43 is B, 44 is A, 45 is A, 46 is A, 47 B, 48 C, 49 C, 50 is C. We have completed chapter 5, basic methods of teaching and learning. Catch you in chapter 6. Thank you so much. You can definitely submit your answers. Take a picture, submit your answers in the group or at Dynamic Hair Designs Dynamic Hair Designs LLC at gmail.com. Thank you so much.